This is Top Rank Audiobooks rankings of the 13 Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. My concept is, if you were born before the publication of the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, you still remember the good old golden age of these books. You may have different opinions of these rankings, but I think they're pretty accurate. Nevertheless, Diary of a Wimpy Kid is still a very popular book series, but they aren't all created equal. I will be grading this off of humor, plot structure, styles, and characters. Rank 13, Double Down, Book 11. The reason why I think this is the worst book is the layout and the storyline. The first few Diary of a Wimpy Kid books had quick stories and limited flashbacks. In Double Down, Jeff Kinney starts with a 22-page flashback and it slows the story down. To prove my point, read 106 to 125, and the flashback in the beginning isn't the exact same as the end. The thing is that you don't want flashbacks to be too long, or the reader will forget what the present plot is. It was hard to have a good moral, and I also think that what this book was advertising the year about Greg filming a movie starts at page 193. Already 90% of the book was already done. In effect, Jeff Kinney had to rush the ending, so it didn't have a good resolution. My favorite joke? I sat next to the only other kid who plays the French horn, Evan Pittman, who looked like he knew what he was doing. With the way he moved his fingers around, it seemed a lot more complicated than I was expecting, but I figured I might as well give it a shot. I filled my cheeks with air just like Evan did, and I blew into the mouthpiece as hard as I could, but the air didn't come out where I expected. Blap! Rank 12, The Meltdown, Book 13. So basically, the reason why I don't like this book is because I lost 70,000 views when they terminated my channel. I'm just joking. That's not the reason. The book, I switched a bit of style because it seems similar to other plain children's books, where there's a battle between two different types of kids, which was a snow fight. Rather to put jokes and pranks on Greg, this book makes the diary concept not noticeable. Instead, it was a story with minimal jokes, and it was more like a Big Nate style book, if you know what I mean. There were some good jokes in the beginning, but then there were too many flashbacks of all the kids in the neighborhood. The only special was that the drawings were more detailed and sophisticated, and it helped the worsting plot. If you didn't notice, I think the book is based off of some funny moments that Jeff Kinney's kids went through. I have to say I didn't enjoy this book as much, but it doesn't represent the majority of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. My favorite joke? Oh, it looks like that clip is not available. Gee, I wonder why. Rank 11, The Getaway, Book 12. Yes, another recent addition to the series is also placed near the bottom. I wanted to talk about The Long Haul and how it was a unique and fascinating novel, but when The Getaway came out, it was basically a sequel. I felt that Jeff Kinney was trying to force the same idea of a family vacation disaster again, but this time it was on an island. Some jokes came natural and some didn't. Don't tell me the birds on page 94 didn't represent the seagulls in The Long Haul. The spider had relations and characteristics as a pig. The Heffleys sneaking into the resort represented them going into the Beatles' motel room. It was almost as if Jeff Kinney copied and pasted the jokes and switched the plot and characters. I also think the ending of this book was rushed. There are some good qualities I want to say that make this book better than some. First off, it didn't have as much flashbacks that deformed the storyline. It had a good mystery of what was going on over the wall that separated the resort, plentiful jokes, and an epic finale with the sunbathers. The story showed the Headley's wild side, Greg's naive side, and how Roger could find love. My favorite joke? Once we left shallow water, we started to pick up speed. The water was kind of choppy, so it was hard holding on. Then we hit a big wave, and all three of us boys went flying off. The driver had to circle around so we could get back on. When we got moving again, we went through the area where they had a water trampoline, and the kids started using our banana boat as a target. Boing, sproing, sploosh. Then one stupid kid landed smack in the middle of our boat and punctured it. Bloof. The banana boat was losing air fast, and the driver had to tow us back to shore. The guy that Mom gave her camera to took a picture, but I kind of doubt we're ever going to use that for our Christmas card. Season's Greetings, from the Heffleys. Rank 10, Cabin Fever, Book 6. This book is a decent book, and where Greg goes into a dilemma during the holiday seasons, I know that a lot of the 2000 kids stopped reading the series up to this point because it was getting repetitive. Don't get me wrong, Cabin Fever is a respected book, but it couldn't compare with the first few, and it wasn't as unique as others like The Long Haul. There were a lot of hilarious comedies, such as a school trying to make their students healthier, or Greg trying to shovel neighbors' driveways. The cons about this story, it was a jigsaw puzzle in the beginning, and you couldn't find a complete storyline in the first 100 pages. It was also rare to see a rushed ending early in the series. Cabin Fever did start to improve when Greg got scared of being arrested for the green blotches and the blizzard stuck everyone indoors. In a nutshell, I wouldn't recommend Cabin Fever, but you can still enjoy it for a little laugh. My favorite joke? A couple weeks ago, we had to do sit-ups during phys ed, but I got cramps and asked Mr. Underwood if I could do the rest of my sit-ups as homework. He said that was okay, but he wanted proof that I did them. So the next morning, I got some Mons mascara and drew a 6-pack of abs on my stomach. Then I made sure I had my shirt off when Mr. Underwood walked through the locker room. The next thing I knew, though, I had a bunch of copycats, and the following day, half of the guys in my class showed up with their own fake 6-packs. But some of those guys were really awful makeup artists. Still, I think we had Mr. Underwood fooled, at least until we got sweaty and the mascara ran. Rank 9, Old School, Book 10. Here on, a lot of these books are very comparable with each other. I think Old School has an adaptation of The Long Haul when Greg went on the Hardscrabble field trip. This book is kind of calm, but it features some funny jokes in the good old day style, which I thought was kind of creative. I liked how Greg had to be forced into an electronic free day, or how Grandpa now lives with Greg. Old School has a plain old Greg Heffley's jokes and at the same time funny disasters at the Hardscrabble farm. You've got Greg making little mistakes that become big problems, and the legend of Seal Scratch put the reader at the edges of their seats. I feel like this book didn't get as much attention it deserved because of the hype of its predecessor, The Long Haul. The ending was great, and it didn't rush and concluded everything neatly. My favorite joke? I actually have two. That's when it occurred to me that there wasn't actually a shower in our bathroom. The shower was on the outside of the cabin, and the water was in the metal tub we filled up in the bucket brigade yesterday. I seem to be the only one who remembered what was in that tub, because everyone else got in line to take their turn. Not only was the water unsanitary, but apparently it was cold too. Screech! Pump. Unfortunately, we were so focused on the snacks that we forgot all about the fish. Scream! I feel a little bad for Mr. Jefferson, but it was a good reminder to me that you should always check the inside of the toilet before you're sitting down. Mr. Jefferson was mad and thought this was some kind of practical joke. Rank 8, The Long Haul, Book 9. The last 6 rankings are the 5 most recent books. Very interesting. I think this book was heavily advertised and hyped up for, but it didn't live up to the expectations. It was a humorous story, but it wasn't the classic Greg Heffley style. They even made a movie from this book, and if you ever want to watch it, make sure to watch the first 3 productions. The Long Haul is basically the climax of the Wimpy Kid empire. This book was heavily organized, and there were so many jokes. This book is unique from the series or any other book in the sense of pushing Greg out of his comfort zone into an unknown world of mishaps. At the same time, Greg's family had to deal with the Bureaus and having a vendetta with each other and a weird pet pig that ruined the trip. I enjoyed and appreciated the conclusions and exposition of The Long Haul and the everything goes wrong moment in the book. My favorite joke? One time when I was watching my favorite show, the host asked a question. What should I draw in this box? I don't know, polka dots? I was just goofing around when I answered, but the guy on TV actually responded, okay, polka dots it is. I wish it never happened though, because for a long time after that, I thought the people inside the TV could hear everything I said. And how are you today? I could be better. My brother Roderick, that's great. In fact, on my 6th birthday, Mom had to sit me down and talk about the difference between imaginary friends and real friends. Hey, did you happen to see what my parents got me? It's a bike, isn't it? Blink once if the answer is yes. Rank 7, Dog Days, Book 4. We're halfway through, and Dog Days is the most average book in this rank. They also made a movie from this book, and I still think it was better than The Long Haul, both the movie and the book. You could relate with the troubles Greg had to go through that summer, and we all know the iconic moment when Greg has to maneuver through a bunch of adult guys showering, or a horror character, the Muddy Hand, that freaks Greg and Riley throughout the whole book, or Greg starting his lawn mowing business. I was a little surprised of all the comical aspect, like the swimming team or the new dog. You could say, oh, this has happened to me before. The jokes were lightly sprinkled with exaggeration. The book was a little disorganized, which makes sense because the setting is over the summer. It's a pretty mediocre book, and I wouldn't say the positives or the negatives were greater than each other. My favorite joke? Me and Riley realized we were gonna have to do this a different way, and we made our own ads. I figured we could just make flyers and put them in every mailbox in our neighborhood. All we needed was some clip art to get us started. So we went down to the corner art store and bought one of those cards women get each other on their birthdays. Hope your birthday is hot, hot, hot. Then we scanned it into Riley's computer and pasted the pictures of our heads onto the bodies from the card. After that, we got some clip art of lawn tools and put it all together. Then we printed it out, and I have to say, it looked great. VIP lawn service. Pamper yourself with your lawn with our award-winning world-class service. Call 555-2941. Rank 6, The Third Wheel, Book 7. This one is quite unique, but it lacks a bit of the classic Greg Healthy's jokes. I was waiting for Greg to start looking for a girlfriend, and The Third Wheel partially nailed that area. At the same time, you've got the hobo jobless guy in the family, Uncle Gary, who does some stupid but hilarious actions throughout the novel. One part that was memorable was when the school went crazy with quality toilet paper. You can see how hard it is for Greg to find a soulmate for the dance and how he's pushed out has the third wheel, which I'm sure some people can relate when hanging out with friends. I do have some complaints, such as the book having not enough jokes, and the long flashback in the beginning that started the book, and the rushed ending. But the middle is what ranks this book better than others. My favorite joke? We're in the middle of a basketball unit in phys ed, with the girls playing on one side of the gym and the boys on the other. This other day, this kid named Anthony Renfrew thought it would be pretty funny if he pantsed Daniel Rivas when he was shooting free throws. Whoop! Everybody laughed except for Daniel, but later on Daniel got Anthony back when he was going for a layup. After that, it was a free-for-all, with everyone pantsing everyone else. So things have been awful since then. Now everyone's so paranoid about getting pantsed that no one will ever stand up during our basketball scrimmages. Scoot, 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 roll, scoot, scoot. I've even started wearing 2 pairs of shorts under my sweatpants for extra insurance. Scoot, scoot. Things have gotten so bad that Vice Principal Roy came into the gym today to lecture the boys. He said this was no laughing matter and that anyone caught pantsing another student would be suspended. But Vice Principal Roy should have watched where he was standing because some kids snuck onto the bleachers and got him pretty good. Arg! Zip! Whoever did it escaped before Vice Principal Roy could catch him. No one knows for sure who it was, but the name they're using for the guy is the Mad Pantster. Rank 5, Hard Luck, Book 8. If someone told me that this book was the third, I would have totally believed it. Despite having 7 antecedents, Hard Luck was astonishingly comical, relatable, and had a moral about friendship and teaching you how to make hard decisions as you get older. It demonstrated how somebody's life could have gone downhill and how you can still recover from the problems. By the way, Enzo's rankings said this was last, and he didn't even have a clear reason why. They did repeat the fight between Greg and Riley, and it shows how things could change their friendship. A lot of the book showed how crazy Greg's peers were with many things, like fries, hero points, and lunch seats. You can see how Greg doesn't have any friends and the feeling when you get new shoes. You can see the connections of this book with you. I could spend days talking about the rich absurdity of this novel and the wackiness of everyone. This was a great book, and you should definitely put this in your reading list. My favorite joke? One night we found out that if you sneak up behind him when he's sleeping and make a raspberry sound with your lips, his ears perk up. Then Sweetie sniffs his rear end for the next 5 minutes and goes back to sleep. He. Sniff, 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 sniff. Me and Roger do that over and over, and Sweetie has the exact same reaction every single time. But one day when Dad gave it a try, it totally backfired. Blarp! Rank 4, The Last Straw, Book 3. This book belongs in the 3 OG books, but it isn't the top 3. The Last Straw is significantly better than most of the Wimpy Kid series, and it's easy to see why. There's a great moral of how Greg needed to impress his father. Greg needed to stop being lazy and childish, and he tries to do just that. This book more accurately fits the general concept. In this story, you have him desperately trying to impress Holly Hills, and Greg is going bananas for sugar. It isn't as relatable as Hard Luck, but it is more realistic, and Greg was showing more of his wacky, laid-back behavior. You could enjoy Greg's satire and Boy Scouts and soccer. I was ready for some humiliation when he was locked out of his hotel room in his underwear. Compared to other books, The Last Straw had a great plot structure and climax, so it was more organized but a little slow. My favorite joke? Dump. Then she walked out of the room, and I waited some more. I was seriously ready to wait there all night if that's what it took. But the clothes from the dryer were really warm, and I started feeling a little drowsy. And before I knew it, I was asleep. Zzz. I don't know how many hours I slept, but what I do know is that I woke up to the sound of creaking cellophane. When I heard the sound of chewing, I turned on my flashlight and caught the thief red-handed. Ha! Oomph! It was Dad. Man, I should have known it was from him from the start. When it comes to junk food, he's a total addict. I should give Dad a piece of my mind, but he cut me off. He wasn't interested in talking about why he was stealing our lunch snacks. What he was interested in talking about was what the heck I was doing buried in a pile of Mom's underwear in the middle of the night. Right at that moment, we heard Mom coming down the stairs. I think me and Dad realized how bad the situation looked for both of us, so we each just grabbed as many oatmeal creams as we could carry and made a run for it. After that, we started practice. Mr. Lich and Mr. Boone made us run laps and do leg lifts and a bunch of other stuff that had nothing to do with soccer. In between wind sprints, I hung out by the water cooler with other two pre-alpha minus guys. And every time we were slow getting back to the field, Mr. Lich would yell, "Get your butts over here!" Me and the other guys thought it would be pretty funny if the next time Mr. Lish said that, we all ran at him with our butts sticking out. So the next time Mr. Lish yelled for us to get our butts over there, I ran with my rear end pointed at him, but the other guys totally hung me out to dry. Mr. Lish did not appreciate my sense of humor, and he made me run 3 extra laps. Rank 3, The Ugly Truth, Book 5. Their Ugly Truth is the gateway between the classic Greg Heffley style to the more exotic and unique storylines like the Hard Luck. It's the perfect Goldilocks. I like the plot of how Greg is facing with wanting to get older. I might be wrong, but this one is even more relatable than The Last Straw. Greg is faced with a breakup with his best friend. Greg tries to be cooler and older by trying to get into Jordan Jury's party, looking for signs of puberty and things like that. We all had to go through this at some point, and Greg makes this age of time a timeless comedy. Greg faces more responsibility at school and home, and Gary tells him not to rush things too fast. At the same time, Uncle Gary comes into the picture and is marrying for the 4th time. I liked how every proportion of humor, morals, and characters is equal, which matches a great story like The Ugly Truth. Additionally, the book has a great beginning and ending without extending or shortening in any ways. My favorite joke? It was hard falling asleep with all those people snoring away in the same room with me, so eventually I picked up my stuff and looked for somewhere else to spend the night. Tick, tock, drag. The next place I could find was the bathroom next to the Gamey's room, so I put my blanket and pillow in the tub and made myself a bed. It wasn't comfortable, but at least I had some privacy. Luckily, when Gamey came in this morning for her bath, I woke up in the nick of time. Untie. I'm in here, yank. Rank 2, Roger Rolls, Book 2. This book is no exception, a great one. You know this as a movie, and the book shows sibling rivalry and a good way to resolve the story. If you don't think this is a good book, either you didn't read all the books or you have a different sense of a good story. In this story, you can see that Roger is a jerk, and Greg foreshadows of something Roger did over the summer. That is the only foreshadowing in the entire series that was repeated in the entire book. This technique made you wonder what happened. Also, I think this book is closer to a journal or diary than the other books. That's why it's called Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The other books have stories and not first-hand diary writing. Another clever concept was the announcement of random events that would be later used. Compared to Cabin Fever, Roger Rose connects most of the events talked in the beginning of the book. Also, Roger Rose contains the original objects of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, such as the cheese touch, Mandy saying Bubby, and the party Roderick hosts. The story is primordial and the plot is very well constructed, but there's one that still surpassed it. My favorite joke? I always beat Grandpa, mostly because the jokes don't make any sense to me. Putting economic policy before fiscal responsibility is like putting the cart before the horse. Ha ha ha. Always beat Roger too, but that's because Roger loses on purpose. Whenever it's my turn to read the card, he makes sure he has a big mouthful of milk. Blah ha 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 ha. Before I finish with the last rank, I want to say you can still enter my giveaway links in the description of my latest video. Also, thanks for everyone just sticking to my side and the support after my channel was terminated. So, thank you. Rank 1, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Book 1. I cannot say that any book in the series is better than the original. Any sequel will always be worse than the original one. This novel and cartoons features the most memorable things when anyone brings up Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The cheese touch, Zooey Mama, frankly, and the safety patrol incident. The movie is also a great compliment with this book, and the ending is a great theme of friendship. The characters look simpler, but the storyline was so good. You can relate to the annoying Patty Farrell or the weird kid Fregley. This is the book that made the Wimpy Kid series so popular. The infamous cheese touch is still widely known and used at the same time. This book is the foundation and influence of the entire series. Finally, my favorite joke. I thought I could just crank out my thank you cards in half an hour, but when it came to actually writing them, my mind was blank. Let me tell you, it's not easy writing thank you notes for stuff you didn't want in the first place. I started with the non-closed items because I thought they'd be the easiest, but after 2 or 3 cards, I realized I was practically writing the same thing every time. So I wrote up a general form on the computer with blanks for things that needed to change. Writing the cards from there was a breeze. Type. Dear Aunt Lydia, thank you so much for the awesome encyclopedia. How did you know I wanted that for Christmas? I love the way the encyclopedia looks on my shelf. All my friends will be so jealous that I have my very own encyclopedia. Thank you for making this the best Christmas ever. Sincerely, Greg. My system worked out pretty well for the first couple of gifts, but after that, not so much. Dear Aunt Loretta, thank you so much for the awesome pants. How did you know I want that for Christmas? I love the way the pants looks on my legs. All my pants will be so jealous that I have my very own pants. Thank you for making this the best Christmas ever. Sincerely, Greg. Anyways, thanks for watching. I had a blast making this video. I feel like it won't be as popular as Enzo's video because he made his first, but mine is much more concise. And I'll see you later. Don't copyright claim me, record books.